Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Brendan Love here with Tom Moffitt. Today, we're going to give you a little bit of the lay of the land on where we're at and changes in the business and some stuff we're super excited about. We're going to talk about the prospecting angles we're diving into. Before we do that, I just want to give a quick shout out. I'm sure everyone's aware of it by now. Rocket Mortgages shutting down. We had a really great experience with them as a lender and their team there. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those people who work there. They were fantastic people. They had a lot of really great processes, speed, and elements to their business that it's sad to see them go. I know everyone has different opinions on US companies making big pushes into Canada and that sort of thing. I'm not going to dive into the political side of things. I think it's sad to see those people go and the industry loses something from that. One upside is they were working on a lot of cool stuff that hopefully through like their connection with Finmo or something there, that can still be released to the industry because there was a lot going on in the background there that I know that team was a part of. So I'm hopeful that something good can come out of this.
Yeah, the sad part about this story is the people that were working for Rocket that were payroll staff, they're all let go. Like a couple of people we know personally that were working with Rocket that now they're out of a job. So that's the real sad part about this story. And I had nothing against Rocket. Like I used them personally for, I think, one or two of my clients, and the experience itself was great. And I agree. I think if monos and other lenders can take from the innovation that Rocket had in the industry, I think that's going to better everything. Mm-hmm. For example, like having that one dedicated concierge person, I don't know what her title was, but once you were in fulfillment stage with Rocket, she would be there to like reach out to the client, make sure they're very clear and transparent on like what's going on. They would ask for reviews for you on behalf of the broker. Like I thought that stuff was really cool, and their speed was obviously paramount. So
yeah, and the cool thing is like that concierge person is still that person post funding. Well, it was. So like if clients had follow-up questions, that concierge would answer questions. It was really cool. So like there's elements like that they were 10 steps ahead of other lenders. No offense to the other lenders. You guys are great.
Yeah.
At what you do too, but there's just things that we can all learn and grow and adapt from borrowing in collaboration with each other.
Yeah. And even like as a broker, you can take away some of like tidbits and experiences that they were giving you through the client journey on the lender side. Like you can embed that in your own client journey. Like we've had the Domino's Pizza tracker, the loan tracker in our process for a while, but they had something very similar. So you can embed that into your own client journey and learn that way. And there was one last thing on this is there's a post on the ILMB Facebook page. It was, I forget the guy's name, but he was like maybe the owner of Rocket Canada. He mentioned there's a lot of people kind of in a negative light, not bashing Rocket, but saying like good riddance and kind of like on the negative side of things, which I was surprised with that our industry was like that. But I mean, you're always going to have two different sides to everything. So
yeah, it goes back to the last episode. There's a lot of people that like to hide behind a keyboard and say comments that they think are witty or funny in the moment, sitting in their silo of their home office, but they're not thinking about the humans behind a move like that and the people who lost their job, the emotional side of the thing. And like I read his post too. I think it made a good angle that like, you know, consider people in this part of things. And like we always say, it's a very small industry. Those people are going to be working for someone else. I know we're trying to get a few of them to come work with us. So like, I hope the rest of the industry goes and finds these people and, you know, they're not out of work for long because they are great people there. But they will have to find new roles. And we'll use that as a transition because that is something that this week you and I had to do as well. We kind of fired ourselves from part of our business, which has been nice for us though.
A big part. I was telling you earlier before we recorded, I feel like an actual business owner now. The reason why I say that is because when you're in the files day to day, like you're putting out fires, you're going back and forth with clients, like you're not so much working on the business. And sure, you can try to carve out some time and do that, which we've always tried to do that. But inevitably, like you don't have as much time as you want to go prospect, to work on the business, improve the client journey, all of the systems that you have in place. And that's like my biggest takeaway from this is like, it's a completely different feeling waking up in the morning and knowing that, hey, my clients are being taken care of by an absolute rock star, and I get to go out, find more leads, and just improve everything in our business itself and work on it. So I can't be any happier. I think it's like the best move we've made. And we've waited so long to do this. Like you hear this all the time. Like brokers always say, I should have hired sooner. But it really is a scary thing to do when you're paying someone a good amount of money to have them come in. And that's like a good chunk of your pay. It's like, it is a scary thing to do. But when you feel you're at that moment where you're like, maybe I can do this, just give it a try, like go all in. And worst thing that happens is you have to pivot and go back.
Yeah, I think we like bounced it back and forth so many times of running different scenarios and models of like, what does this look like from like, can I pay for my mortgage? Or the funny thing is like the first couple of days I was like just dumping my backlog on Kyle, and he was just like, okay, I'm caught up. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But that's all he had to focus on. It was so much better for me and like my mindset and my business as a whole. And then like yesterday I was sitting there and I was like, I'm done everything like that I need to do from the broker side, from the business side. And I just started prospecting again. And I did a whole other hour and a half of calls, texts, outreaches. And like every day I'm getting, like yesterday I got 3 leads. This morning I got 2 leads. I can see the effect of people coming back. Part of me thinks that people thought that we were going too far on the side of running a brokerage and not active enough in files, which obviously we weren't, but that's just the perception kind of thing. And the other part is like, maybe we were, not to be too woo-woo, but maybe we were giving off an energy of not wanting leads and files because we were busy. And now we're like
100%.
Yeah.
I can still remember, I'm talking like it was a year ago. It's literally like last week. You always get excited for a lead coming in, but it's almost like not torture, but it's like, I'm not looking forward to this because now I got to work on a file. So it was like that in itself probably pushed me away from getting more leads and building the business. So like, I know definitely like that was a big part for me. And maybe we'll touch on like the actual structure. I know maybe you touched on this last episode, but in case you didn't, we're in a very fortunate position where we knew who we wanted to hire. We've been wanting to hire Kyle probably at least a year and a half. It just really aligned perfectly timing wise for us to actually pull the trigger and do this. And he's taking the client from lead in to approval. And then we've got Diana taking it from approval to closing. So the whole loan process, we've got it dialed in and covered by 2 people. So we're fortunate in that way where we don't have to actually hop on a discovery call anymore. And I know that's very unique because typically when you hire, it's either going to be a really good underwriter or it's going to be a really good salesperson. It's very hard to find a hybrid person. So I know like the listener will think like, well, you guys are really lucky in that sense. And yes, we were. But if you can even just start with like the underwriting piece, like just to have that off your plate and maybe just still do the discovery calls, it's still going to take off a lot of time off your plate.
For sure. And I think it's important for people to know it's not like he came in and was like perfect puzzle fit, solved all problems right out the gates. Like we still did probably a week and a half of onboarding, teaching him our budgets, teaching him our systems, because he had a whole depth of knowledge, but he was trained in someone else's system. So there's still that period that you have to integrate them into your business. But once you're rocking and rolling there, like it is wild. Like, and now I feel like I'm rocking mortgages because I'm calling realtors and I'm being like, yeah, like I can get you everything done within like 4 hours. I know Tom doesn't like me doing that, but it's true. It's just such a different way of operating with a clear headspace. You're not getting bogged down in any minutia. I don't even have email notifications on my phone anymore. I just log on and check my email. So I'm just like big picture projects and then prospecting, which is awesome.
Yeah, a key tip on that for the onboarding piece is I spent maybe collectively 3 to 4 hours to get Kyle like up and ready in learning our system. And he's really good. Like he's quick to learn. So that definitely helped. But we already had our client journey. So I just added a 3rd column on the Google Doc that we have. And I just had a link to a Loom, like 30 seconds to a minute long Loom video for each step and stage in the client journey so he can watch it on his own time. That definitely decreased the amount of time it took him to get onboarded and it worked out very, very well. So the onboarding process isn't like this big thing that needs to take like a month or 2. Instead of doing phone calls back and forth, like you can do a process just like that to really decrease the amount of time it takes for him to get fully onboarded.
Yeah, we use Loom like crazy just because it's so good for teaching. You pull up the screen and calls a lot of time you lose on like that back and forth politeness, banter sort of thing. You just do a Loom video. It's like so much faster. You just fly through a day. It's a great practice to just put in managing in general, just to save a ton of time.
So speaking of lead gathering and prospecting, let's chat a bit about what we're now focusing on. And this episode, we're solely going to be focusing on our mortgage book, by the way. So when it comes to prospecting, our main focus right now is we're actually going the webinar format. And we were hesitant on doing this because it is like different than what we've been doing. But at the same time, it's actually very straightforward. Like once you actually have the webinar setup done, it's pretty straightforward to go prospect and ask your realtor partners and partners to come onto the webinar. So to digest that, we have a 2-stage format, and I actually adopted this from Wiley, had a training in Strategy Hub that I kind of took the framework and ran with it. First stage is we're gathering our realtor partners to an info session, and it's all revolving around cash damming. And both of you and I, like, will be the first to admit, like, we are not cash damming experts, but we are learning quite a bit. And we're quick to adapt it. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this info session for realtor partners to come on. We're going to tell them why it's going to be a benefit to them to bring on their clients to come on to the actual main webinar, which is going to be 2 weeks later. So it's kind of like a 2-step process, because we want to have our realtor partners come on to tap into their database and also show more value to them and rekindle some of those older relationships that we had with some of the OG referral partners.
Yeah, and I think a key piece for us is like we are not looking for a dozen cash damming leads. That's not the angle we're after here. What we're just trying to say is if we can explain some advanced tax strategies to people and we can show them sort of bigger picture how mortgages can be used as a tool, all of a sudden it's like, okay, I have this first-time home buyer. I have this person who wants to get one rental property. Obviously, you guys would do a fantastic job at that if you can do all of this advanced stuff. So I think it's more so just validates everything else we do in the interim. The webinar model is also really nice for us because we have the cameras, we have the microphones, we have all the setup from the podcast. We pay for this like premium StreamYard thing that now we just have to add $40 US to host it right in the system we're already using and we're comfortable with. So for you and your business, maybe find you have certain things in place where it's easy to piggyback off of that. When adding a new way of prospecting, it makes it really economical and easy to implement.
Yeah, and the nice part is once you do the webinar once, you can record it and have it as an evergreen webinar. And typically you want to do more live sessions to really dial in the webinar. But you and I both know, like, we've had experience doing the podcast for however long it's been. So we're pretty good on camera. We're good at doing that stuff. We can also record it outside of doing a live format, put it into an evergreen format, and just funnel people in that way through social, which I think is like our long-term play. And even one step further than that, this is going like deep, but in my social media course, the guy that I'm learning this from he has like, I think 4 or 5 different webinars, and they all speak to different clients. And what he does is he funnels everyone onto one landing page where he's got a type form. It looks really good. It's not just like a simple type form, but it is through that type form app. And they go to it. It's a quiz. So I think the quiz is like, see how you stack up against other Americans financially, like something along those lines. So people actually want to take the quiz. He's capturing all of this data. And from there, once they go through the quiz, it directs them into the webinar that he wants them to watch. So he's got like 4 or 5 different ones. And I know you and I can bang out 3 or 4 like pretty quick in the next couple of months. So I'm thinking like long term, that's going to be the play there. But we're going to start with cash damming and then kind of pivot to maybe other topics and build it.
Yeah. So we'll go deep on like the whole quiz webinar thing as we unpack it, because it's something we're definitely putting in place. We'll do some trial and error and use ourselves as guinea pigs as always. And then we'll come back and share the results with you guys. Next big piece, you're really leaning into social media. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So still the main focus for me is Instagram and TikTok. So I've been very inconsistent just because you know how it is. You get files coming in, you get bogged down, but that's not a problem anymore. And this week was the first week where I've really streamlined my process with recording, scripting, and posting. So this is for a whole other episode, but high level overview of what I'm doing now is I carve out 1 hour of video sourcing, 1 hour of scripting, and 1.5 hours of recording. So that's call it 3.5 hours a week. So 3.5 hours to get about 4 videos done and posted. So I want to really increase that and get to about like 5 or 6 videos. But I think that's a really good use of my time because I'm going to be repurposing it from Instagram to TikTok, funnel people in through that way to the webinars. So I'm pretty excited to dive deeper on that.
Yeah, for sure. And you've already seen some pretty significant growth of your social media. Like once that grows and scales even further, you're going to be kind of that person when people go on Instagram or TikTok, they're going to be like, okay, this guy's number one, has the most followers in Canada, or whatever, that kind of stuff. It'll add to that credibility and you'll see opportunities come from that. So super cool that way. Another thing that we're doing with our prospector hat on all the time is just literally circling back to people we worked with over the past couple of years and being like, hey, we have a new team member in place. We have a lot of time to support and help people now. Is there anything in your business that you need help with? And we're just trying to solve problems for our partners, which, we free up their time. They can go prospect, and then that leads to more business for us.
Yeah, I probably pissed a lot of realtors off this past week. I hounded them like maybe 2 or 3 times within a week. It's like, all right, maybe I'll throttle that back down. It's like, all right, Tom, I get it. You hired an underwriter. You got more time now. But hey, that's okay. Like, I'm okay letting them know I'm back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it's okay to be excited. Like so many people try to like posture and like appear laid back and cool. And it's like, no, fuck it. I'm hungry for deals. I want to fund more mortgages. I want to make more money. I want to grow my business. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think the realtors that are like that are the ones who actually do business and they'll respect the hustle.
I definitely had some commission breath this week, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Before we move on, the one thing I will say about social is what I'm doing is I'm still focusing on the broader financial literacy piece to capture more eyeballs, but I'm embedding more of the advanced mortgage strategies as like a portion of my content. I just posted one not too long ago about the debt swap scenario and just like flipping my phone onto a budget. And that one actually performed very, very well compared to my most recent videos. So I'm excited to dive into more of the advanced mortgage strategy, like cash damming, debt swap strategy, power of the paycheck. Those are going to be like my main 3. And I'm just going to really simplify it and do a high level overview for social instead of like going into the weeds, because of course, like these strategies can be pretty complex. And there's a couple of brokers out there doing it really well on the cash damming side, but I don't really see anyone doing the debt swap or the power of the paycheck yet.
Yeah, I think there's a way to show it that teases enough interest in people that they'll reach out and ask for more. I think if you go like too granular on those videos, people are like, fuck, I don't understand what he's talking about. It's just too much. Yeah, so I think you're doing it the right way there.
And shout out to Paul Hill. He reached out to me on TikTok. He's a listener. And I didn't realize this, but he listened to episode 82 where I was talking about how my Instagram views have been much, much lower than my TikTok views. And the whole workaround from repurposing your TikTok videos to Instagram was to go on snaptic.com and use the link from TikTok to download the video and then post it on Instagram. And that was the workaround to make sure that Instagram wasn't pushing your content down because it would remove the watermark from it. But he was mentioning he's been doing this and his views have been like cut in half. And I look back to mine, every video I was going easily over 1,000 views, mostly like 2,000-3,000 views. But then once I started recording the video in the TikTok app and doing that, my views went down to like 600 to 700 views. And I didn't realize it, but it was from the moment I started recording my videos in the TikTok app, that's when it started happening. So he pointed that out to me. So now I'm going to give that a try today and record through the Instagram app and do the reverse to see if that helps. But that was a big thing. So for any of you that are doing that, maybe don't record in the actual TikTok app if you want to grow on Instagram.
Can you just record through your phone and upload to both platforms?
Yeah, you can. And I used to do that. But how I shoot my content is I do it clips at a time. And if I don't like that clip, I'll delete the last one I did. So it's hard to explain without showing you. But in the TikTok app and in the Instagram app, you click record and you do that clip. And let's just say you didn't like that one, you can exit and just get rid of that clip, but you still have all of the other ones you just did. Whereas the phone, you have to hit record and do the clips. And then you have like a shit ton of clips in your camera roll. And then you have to sift through all of them and pluck out the ones that you want. So probably hard to explain over a podcast like this, but from a flow perspective, it was just so much easier for me to do it in the TikTok app, but I can do the same in the Instagram.
Yeah, you're not a one-take wonder like me.
No,
All right, we will cap out this update video with just a little bit of info on where Tango is at, as I know some of you like to ask us questions on that. So we are north of 50 agents, knocking on 700 million. So we're getting there. I can almost have a beer, which will be nice. Hopefully by the summer.
You can almost have a beer. I'm having a beer tonight.
Yeah, you're having a beer tonight. But yeah, a lot of what is happening with our growth has been, we're saving people a ton of money, not charging for E&O, not charging for credit pulls, but we're also showing people how to make a lot more money. Like one of our agents who's on Team Wiley, and we'll have Wiley on to talk more about his team in the future, just shared that in the first 3 months of 2025, she made more than she had done in all of 2024.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So like huge growth of people implementing these things that we're sharing. So I think that's a big win when you start looking at your business and you're like, maybe I'm stagnant or maybe I'm not where it feels right. It's worth having a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everyone, have a awesome day and we'll catch you next week.
Cheers.